The cold winter wind bit sharply through the thin fabric of her coat as she stumbled out of the spa's glass doors. Her cheeks burned, not from the cold, but from humiliation. The grand spa, known for pampering the city's elite, had just thrown her out. She, a woman barely holding her life together, had been kicked out in front of dozens of shocked onlookers. Maya's heart pounded in her chest as she clutched the small purse dangling from her wrist. Her breath formed quick clouds in the frosty air. She tried to steady her shaking hands, but it was no use. The words the manager spat at her repeated over and over in her mind. "We don't serve people like you here. Please leave." She had heard worse insults before. She'd been abandoned, betrayed, and pushed to the edge many times in her life. But this moment was different. This moment in front of strangers stripped away the last shred of dignity she had left. Behind her, the heavy spa doors slammed shut with a finality that echoed in her soul. Maya took a step forward, the streetlights casting long shadows. She didn't know where to go next. All she wanted was to disappear, to vanish into the cold night. As she walked, her mind wandered back to how things had fallen apart so quickly. It had been only a few weeks ago that Maya had thought her life might be turning around. She had married Rajiv, a billionaire businessman, after years of struggle and heartbreak. To the world, it seemed like a fairy tale come true. But Maya knew the truth was far from that storybook ending. Rajiv's love had never been real. It was a calculated move to keep up appearances and control the narrative. Behind the luxurious parties and flashing cameras, Maya was nothing more than a pawn in his game. The spa incident was just the latest in a series of humiliations. Rajiv's new mistress had made it clear that Maya was unwanted, a shadow she needed to erase. Maya paused by a lamppost, her eyes filling with tears she refused to shed. She was cold, tired, and alone, but deep inside, a small flame of determination flickered. She would not let this be the end of her story. Suddenly, a car pulled up beside her, its headlights piercing the darkness. The window rolled down, revealing a man she never expected to see again. "Get in," he said quietly. Maya hesitated, but something in his eyes told her this was her chance, her only chance, to change everything. She stepped inside, the door closing softly behind her. The engine purred to life, and the car glided smoothly into the night. The man glanced at her, a faint smile touching his lips. "You don't know it yet, but your life is about to change forever." The night air inside the car was warm compared to the freezing streets. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, trying to calm the storm raging inside her. "Who are you?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked ahead, his expression unreadable. "Someone who saw what you went through. Someone who believes you deserve better." Maya stared out the window, watching the city blur past. Questions swirled in her mind, but she dared not ask them all. Instead, she chose to hope. The car slowed as it approached a tall building, its windows glittering like stars against the night sky. The man parked and turned to her. "This is where we start," he said. Maya swallowed hard and stepped out, the doors closing behind her with a sense of finality. Inside the lobby, the warmth and light were a sharp contrast to the cold outside. Maya felt like she had stepped into another world, a world she had only dreamed about. The man led her to an elevator and pressed a button. The doors slid shut, and the elevator hummed as it rose. When the doors opened, Maya gasped. The room was vast and elegant, filled with books, art, and soft lighting. It felt like a sanctuary, a place untouched by the pain she had endured. The man turned to her again. "This is just the beginning. You're safe here." Maya's eyes searched his face, looking for the truth. There was kindness there, something she hadn't seen in a long time. She nodded slowly. "Thank you." The night stretched on, filled with quiet conversations and unspoken promises. Maya felt a flicker of hope grow inside her, but even as she found comfort in this new place, shadows from her past lurked just beyond reach. She didn't know it yet, but the road ahead would be filled with dangers, secrets, and discoveries that would change her life and the lives of everyone around her forever. Days passed, and Maya slowly adjusted to the rhythm of her new surroundings. The man who had rescued her, whose name was David, became her guide through this strange new world. David was not just a stranger. He was a billionaire with a mysterious past and connections that stretched far beyond the city's skyline. Yet, unlike Rajiv, David's interest in Maya felt genuine, rooted in respect and kindness. He listened to her story without judgment and promised to help her reclaim her life. But Maya's journey was far from simple. Rajiv's influence was vast, and his desire to control and humiliate her was relentless. One afternoon, as Maya walked through the garden behind David's penthouse, her phone buzzed. The message was short but chilling. "Leave this alone," or "You'll regret it." The handwriting was unmistakable. Rajiv's fear gripped Maya's heart, but it was quickly replaced by a fierce determination. She would not be silenced. That night, David showed her documents, proof of Rajiv's dark dealings, hidden secrets that could destroy his empire. Together, they began to unravel the truth. But as they dug deeper, unexpected dangers emerged. Threats, lies, and betrayals lurked at every turn. Maya's world was no longer just about survival. It was about fighting back. Weeks later, Maya found herself standing in front of a crowd of reporters. Cameras flashed as she told her story for the first time. She spoke of betrayal, resilience, and hope. Of a woman kicked out of a spa, only to find the strength to fight back against a world that tried to break her. The headlines the next day screamed her name. But amidst the chaos, Maya's thoughts returned to David, the man who had saved her not just from the cold night, but from the darkness inside herself. Her story was far from over. The mystery deepened, and the twists came faster than she could imagine. What secrets did Rajiv hide? What was David's true motive? And most importantly, would Maya find the peace and justice she so desperately sought? The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of David's penthouse, casting a soft glow on Maya's face. She sat at the sleek glass table, sipping her coffee, but her mind was racing faster than ever. The events of the past weeks felt like a whirlwind, from being humiliated and cast out of a spa to standing up against a man whose power seemed unshakable. David's documents, the threats from Rajiv, the media attention. It was overwhelming. Yet Maya felt a strange strength building inside her. She was no longer the broken woman pushed aside by the world, but the battle was just beginning. David entered the room quietly, holding a thick folder. "I've found more," he said, his tone serious but calm. Maya looked up, heart pounding. "More? What kind of more?" David placed the folder on the table. "Rajiv's empire isn't just about business. There are secrets here. Illegal deals, hidden assets, things that could bring him down." Maya's eyes widened. "You mean he's been hiding all this?" David nodded. "Exactly. And it explains why he's so desperate to keep you quiet. You're not just a nuisance to him, you're a threat." Maya's hands trembled as she reached for the folder. The pages inside revealed a tangled web of lies and corruption, offshore accounts, fake companies, bribed officials. It was more than she had imagined. "This is huge," Maya whispered. David leaned back. "We need to be careful. Rajiv has powerful friends. If they catch wind of what we're doing, it could get dangerous." Maya's fear flared, but it was quickly drowned out by determination. "Then we need to act fast." Over the next few days, Maya and David worked tirelessly. They gathered evidence, contacted trusted journalists, and planned their next steps. Maya's story had already captured the public's attention. People were shocked by the revelations and inspired by her courage. But behind the scenes, the threats grew darker. One evening, as Maya returned home, she noticed a black SUV parked suspiciously nearby. Her heart skipped a beat. Inside the penthouse, David's phone rang. It was an unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Stop this now," a cold voice warned, "or face the consequences." David hung up and looked at Maya. "They're watching us." Maya clenched her fists. "I'm not going anywhere." The tension built as Maya prepared for a televised interview where she would reveal everything. The night before, she lay awake, haunted by memories of Rajiv's cruelty and the uncertainty ahead. Why had David helped her? What was his real connection? To Rajiv? The questions swirled, but she pushed them aside. The next day, under bright studio lights and facing a live audience, Maya told her story with raw emotion. She spoke of betrayal, survival, and the power of truth. Her words resonated with millions. But just as she finished, the studio was thrown into chaos. A man stormed in, brandishing a weapon. "This ends now!" Security rushed in, but the moment left Maya shaken. After the attack, Maya knew her life would never be the same. The danger was real, but so was her resolve. David offered her protection and a place to hide. As they worked together, a bond formed between them, built on trust, pain, and hope. Maya discovered layers to David's past, secrets that made her question everything. Was he truly on her side, or did he have his own agenda? One night, while searching through David's office, Maya found a hidden drawer filled with letters and photographs. They hinted at a connection between David and Rajiv that no one knew about. Confused and betrayed, Maya confronted David. He sighed. "There are things I haven't told you, things that might change how you see me." The revelation left Maya torn. Could she trust him? Or was she being manipulated again? Meanwhile, Rajiv's power was crumbling. His empire was under investigation, and the media frenzy intensified. Maya's courage had sparked a movement, inspiring others to speak out, but with every victory came new threats. Rajiv's allies struck back, trying to silence those who dared to defy him. The days that followed the shocking revelation in David's office were some of the hardest Maya had ever faced. The fragile trust she had begun to build with David now trembled under the weight of uncertainty. She stared at the hidden drawer's contents again, the letters, photographs, and secret documents suggesting a connection between David and Rajiv that neither had disclosed. Her mind raced with questions. Was David truly helping her for her sake, or was he playing a deeper, more dangerous game? One rainy evening, Maya decided she needed answers. She found David in the study, seated quietly by the fireplace, his face shadowed in the dim light. "I found the drawer," she said, voice steady but wary. "Tell me everything." David sighed deeply and looked up, eyes filled with a mixture of regret and resolve. "There's no easy way to say this, but you deserve the truth," he told her. A story that felt like it belonged in a novel rather than real life. Years ago, before Rajiv rose to his current power, David and Rajiv were close friends, business partners even. But when Rajiv's ambition turned ruthless, their friendship fractured. David left the empire, distancing himself from the illegal, in dealings and corruption that Rajiv embraced. "The letters and photos you found," David explained, "are reminders of the past I tried to escape. But Rajiv never forgot about me. He saw me as a threat." Maya listened carefully. "Then why help me?" "Because," David said quietly, "when I saw what Rajiv was doing to you, I couldn't stand by. You're innocent in all this, and I want to make things right." Maya studied him, searching for any sign of deceit, but the sincerity in his eyes was undeniable. Still, doubt lingered in her heart. Meanwhile, Rajiv was not sitting idle. His empire was unraveling fast, but his fury only grew stronger. Behind the scenes, he plotted retaliation, his every move shadowed by anger and desperation. One night, as Maya prepared for another public appearance, her phone buzzed again. A message appeared. "Stop digging or you'll lose everything." Tito. Warning was clear. David urged caution, but Maya's spirit refused to break. "I'm not afraid anymore," she told him. "If I back down now, what does that say about me?" David nodded, respect shining in his eyes. "Then we fight." Their next move was bold. A public press conference where Maya would reveal all the evidence against Rajiv. Journalists from around the world gathered. Hungry for answers, Maya stood at the podium, heart pounding but voice strong. She laid bare the truth, Rajiv's corruption, the lies and the pain he caused. The crowd was stunned, but just as the conference ended, another bombshell dropped. One of Rajiv's closest allies, a man known only as Malik, stepped forward with a shocking claim. David was involved in Rajiv's crimes all along. The accusation sent shockwaves through the crowd. Maya's world tilted again. Behind closed doors, Maya confronted David. "Is it true?" she demanded. "Are you lying to me?" David's face hardened. "Malik is trying to discredit me. It's a power play, but I won't let him win." Despite his reassurance, Maya's heart was torn. Trust was a fragile thing, and now it felt like it was slipping through her fingers. In the days that followed, the battle for truth became a maze of alliances, betrayals, and unexpected twists. Maya uncovered more secrets, including a hidden safe deposit box containing documents that could bring Rajiv down for good, but accessing it would mean risking everything. She debated the dangers, knowing Rajiv's reach was long and ruthless. One night, Maya received an anonymous tip, a location where the box was kept, a remote storage facility on the outskirts of the city. David offered to accompany her. Together, they drove through the dark streets, the city lights fading behind them. The facility was guarded, but David's connections gained them entry. Inside, dust and shadows filled the air. Maya's heart raced as they searched through boxes and crates. Then, behind a false wall, Maya found it, a heavy safe. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside were papers, photographs, and a small USB drive. "This is it," Maya whispered. Back. In the safety of David's penthouse, they examined the contents. The documents detailed Rajiv's illegal transactions, bribery schemes, and offshore accounts. The USB contained recordings, conversations implicating Rajiv and his allies. Maya felt a surge of hope. This evidence was undeniable, but just as she was about to call the press, her phone rang. An unfamiliar voice spoke softly, chillingly. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The line went dead. Maya's fears intensified. Rajiv's threats were no longer distant. They were immediate. David stepped in, arranging increased security and a plan to release the information safely. But as the danger grew, so did their connection. One evening, after a tense day, Maya and David shared a rare moment of vulnerability. She looked at him and asked, "Why me? Why risk everything?" David smiled faintly. "Because you remind me that even in darkness people can fight for light." Their hands brushed, and for a moment the world outside faded, but the shadows outside their door were closing in. The final days before the planned public reveal were a whirlwind. Rajiv's men intensified their attacks, anonymous threats, sabotaged, meetings, even an attempt to break into David's penthouse. Maya's resolve never wavered. She faced every challenge with courage, fueled by the knowledge that the truth was on her side. On the night before the big reveal, Maya sat alone, reflecting on her journey. From being kicked out of that spa to standing on the brink of justice, it was more than she had ever dreamed. She whispered a silent promise to herself. No matter what happened next, she would never give up. The day dawned, grey and heavy, as if the sky itself weighed down by the storm that was about to break. Maya stood by the tall window of David's penthouse, staring out at the city below. a sprawling maze of buildings, streets, and lives, all unaware of the battle raging in the shadows above them. Her phone buzzed with messages of support from reporters and strangers touched by her story. But beneath the encouragement was a steady pulse of fear. Rajiv's threats were growing louder, more direct. She knew he would do anything to stop the truth from coming out. David entered quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Ready for today?" he asked, voice gentle but firm. Maya nodded. "More than ever, this ends today." The press conference was set in a large, secure hall filled with journalists, cameras, and flashing lights. Security was tight, an obvious sign of the danger lurking beneath the surface. As Maya stepped up to the podium, her heart hammered with a mix of fear and determination. The room went silent. She began to speak, her voice clear and steady, despite the weight of what she was about to reveal. She laid out the evidence, the documents, the recordings, the stories of corruption and cruelty that Rajiv had tried so hard to hide. The crowd listened, rapt as the story unfolded like a thriller, filled with betrayal, power, and resilience. Maya's words cut through the room like a knife. She wasn't just telling a story, she was demanding justice. But just as she reached the climax of her speech, a loud crash echoed from the back of the hall. Doors slammed open and a group of men in dark suits stormed in, their faces cold and determined. Chaos erupted. Security rushed forward, trying to hold back the intruders, but it was clear this was no ordinary disruption. One of the men pushed through, shouting Rajiv's name and accusing Maya of lying and betrayal. The confrontation quickly escalated into a fierce struggle. Maya was pushed aside, shielded by David and his security team. Amid the chaos, a sudden explosion rocked the building. Smoke filled the air, and screams rang out. The event was cut short, the truth trapped in the turmoil. When the dust settled, Maya found herself outside, coughing and shaken but alive. David held her hand tightly. The attack had been a message. A brutal warning that Rajiv's power was far from broken, but Maya's resolve only hardened. She refused to be silenced. In the days that followed, the investigation intensified. Authorities, pressured by the public outcry, arrested several of Rajiv's key associates. Rajiv himself disappeared, his empire crumbling without him. Maya became a symbol of courage, a woman who had faced down a billionaire's wrath and survived. Yet, beneath the headlines and applause, Maya felt a quiet emptiness. The battle had taken so much: her peace, her trust, her innocence. She knew the road ahead would be long, but she also knew she wasn't alone. David stayed by her side, offering support and friendship that slowly grew into something deeper. One evening, as they sat overlooking the city skyline, Maya asked, "Do you think I can ever truly move on from all this?" David smiled softly. "You're stronger than you think, and sometimes moving on means choosing who you want to be, not who the world expects." Maya took a deep breath, feeling a flicker of hope. The months passed, and the court trials unfolded. With intense media scrutiny, Maya testified bravely, her voice steady even as she recounted painful moments. Justice was served. Rajiv and his associates were sentenced to long prison terms. The victory was bittersweet, but it marked a new beginning. As the story came to a close, Maya reflected on her journey. From the moment she was kicked out of that spa, feeling worthless and powerless, to standing tall as a survivor and fighter. She realized that true strength wasn't about wealth or power. It was about resilience, hope, and the courage to face the darkest moments, and through it all, she had discovered something priceless, the value of her own voice. Lesson: life can knock us down in unexpected ways, but it's how we rise that defines us. Even in the face of injustice and cruelty, hope and courage can lead to healing and change. True power lies not in money or status, but in the strength of the human spirit. Final cliffhanger. As Maya stepped into her new life, free from fear but Forever changed, she wondered quietly. What new challenges awaited? Because the world may be unpredictable, but her heart was ready. The end.